Hi, Pastor John.
Hi.
My name is Emmy.
Hi, Emmy.
Thank you for your many years of faithful service, as we heard this morning.
You're welcome.
So my question is for a family member who couldn't be here. They're having trouble reconciling the difficult parts and the beautiful parts of the Bible simultaneously. So there are many faiths and religions that claim to know the true God in this world. So how can we be sure the Bible is the correct source of information? There are parts of it that are certainly very hard to accept.
Well, that's a pretty typical contemporary approach. And so your friend or your family member is facing that. And it comes down to people saying, if God is loving, then why doesn't he do something about all that's wrong in the world? How can God be loving and all-powerful? Larry King used to ask me this. How can God be loving and all-powerful? If he's loving and all-powerful, he'd fix what's wrong, because his love and power would fix things. So God is either not loving or not powerful. In other words, he may be loving, but he can't do anything about it. Or he may be powerful, but he doesn't love enough to change what exists. But we know, according to Scripture, that God is both loving, all loving. God is love. His very essence is love. And God is, as we sung, sovereign and all-powerful. The reason we ask those questions is because we think God ought to view the world the way we do. What we think is fair, disease, illness, death, disaster, trouble, all of those things. What we think is unfair, all of those kinds of things, is the reality of what is really fair. Because all of those things are the fruit of sin. Sometimes people will look at the Old Testament and they'll say, what kind of a God kills people? What kind of a God opens the ground and swallows people up? What kind of a God drowns the whole world in the flood? How can you say God is loving if he does that? That is not the question. The question is, why did he let people live until their sin was so monumental he had to eliminate it and start again? The question is not, why does trouble come? The question is, why does God overrule trouble and actually bless people? Why does the sun shine on the just and the unjust? Why do people who don't know God, who reject God, who are under condemnation, enjoy life, fall in love, have children, see the beauty of the world? The issue is simply this. We don't understand the sinfulness of sin. Humanity doesn't recognize the sinfulness of sin. So what they think is unfair is really justice acting, justice operating. The real question is not why is there so much trouble in the world? The answer to that is sin, clearly. The real question is, how does God so graciously overlook all of that and redeem those who come to him? So the problem with an unbeliever's worldview is that he thinks the trouble is unfair. But it isn't. It's the just working of sin. Whatever a person sows, they what? They reap. So there is, in the very fabric of human life, the principle of evil that produces evil results on a personal level and on a national level, a global level. So unless you understand sin and the sinfulness of sin and the fallenness of humanity and the fallenness of the world, the whole universe is fallen. The entire human race is fallen, always has been, always will be, until the Lord renews everything. So we're simply living in the midst of all of the consequences of the dominant power of sin that operates in every human being as well as in the cosmos itself. So the question is not, why is there all this trouble? The question is, how loving is God to offer us an escape from all of it? So when you look at the world, you don't say, why does God do all of that judgment? You say, why does God let any unbeliever even live? The wages of sin is death. Every sinner is a blasphemer, condemned, disobedient to God, hating God. Why does God graciously, patiently let that unbeliever live and survive and enjoy many of the blessings we call common grace and patiently wait for them to come to him, to know him. So you have to turn that argument on its head and go back to the reality of sin. Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
Good.